has been an international oil company for about 113 years, and 3 years ago, we outlined the strategy to transform BP from an international oil company to an integrated energy company. In 2019, we spent 3% of our capital outside of oil and gas. Just 3 years later, that number was 30% outside of oil and gas. So 3 to 30% in 3 years. And I think you can look at the evidence of our commitment to the transition. Just last month, we won a 4-gigawatt offshore wind deal in Germany, which we're delighted with. We grew our hydrogen pipeline by 60%. As I said earlier, we almost tripled the amount of power we sold in our EV charging stations throughout the world this quarter. So lots and lots of evidence. We spent about almost 30% of our capital outside of oil and gas in the first 6 months of this year. And as you said, we're on our way to 40% by 2025 and 50% by 2030. But you raise a very, very good point, which is that our strategy is to invest in the transition, which the world needs, and as you quite rightly said, invest in today's energy system, because energy security and energy affordability are crucial. And to do that, we must invest in today's energy system, which is an oil and gas-based system, as well at the same time. It's an and strategy, not an or strategy.
Well, one of the criticisms leveled at BP, and this came out in February, was the fact that you've watered down some of your emissions targets for 2030. You had originally pledged emission reductions of 35 to 40%, but those were revised upwards to a 20 to 30% reduction. Why did you move the goalposts?
We actually, in February, announced that we're leaning into our strategy and announced that we were going to put $8 billion more into the energy transition this decade, spending between $55 and $65 billion in the energy transition this decade. At the same time, we announced that we would increase our investment in oil and gas. And that's because it's crucial that we invest in the supply of today's energy system to meet the demand. Oil and gas continues to grow in demand. It's going to be up over 2 million barrels a day this year, one of the strongest years that we've had. It's really important that we meet that demand with supply. If we don't, there's only one thing that's going to happen, and that's that prices are going to go up. And last year we saw, when we lost 3% of the world's gas supplies, just 3%, prices went up sevenfold, not 7%, not 70%, sevenfold. So we must make sure that we invest in supply while the demand is there. If prices rise, only two things will happen. Coal usage will go up. We saw that last year. Coal usage up 25% in Germany, coal usage up in Japan, in South Korea, in India, in China. That will happen. And secondly, the amount that governments spend on energy goes up. Typically, governments spend between 10 and 12% of their GDP on energy. Last year, they spent 20% of their GDP on energy, which leaves very little room for investing in transition. So we must invest in today's energy system at the same time, which is why we announced that extra $8 billion in February. And we announced that we would put $8 billion more into the transition. We need a rapid transition, and we need to make sure that the transition is orderly.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.